Okay.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome back. This is Jim Grisanzio from the Oracle Groundbreakers team, and we're here to continue more conversations with the speakers from the Oracle Groundbreakers India Yatra, which is actually wrapping up now. The next couple of days, it'll be over. It's been running for 3 solid weeks, and right now I'm here with one of the speakers who presented earlier in the week. This is Vinay Kumar from the Netherlands. Vinay, welcome to the program.
Hi, Jim. Thank you for inviting me this in the interview. Thank you.
It's nice to meet you. I've been reaching out to new speakers, and fortunately, on this conference, there's a boatload of them. I mean, there's probably I think there's over 100 speakers in this conference. Lots of things that are going on. There's all kinds of technologies being discussed, and all kinds of speakers from all over the world. And I particularly wanted to reach out to people that I didn't know, so I can quite selfishly make new friends, that was my intent. So, since we don't know each other, maybe you can start us off by giving us just a little bit of background on who you are and what you do.
Sure. Vinay Kumar. I'm based in Netherlands, in Amsterdam. I'm from India. I've moved to Europe, I think, more than 10 years back, and I've been in Oracle community almost more than 20 or almost 14 years, especially in Oracle area. And I have started with Oracle ACE journey, I think. Almost 7 years back, and I've started working from Oracle Forms to Oracle middleware, and now open sources and Oracle Cloud. So it's been a great journey. And currently, I'm working with the insurance company in Amsterdam as an enterprise architect. And yeah, that's all about me. Yeah.
Cool. So tell me, what was it like moving from India to Europe?
Uh, I mean, it's a great experience because the work culture and the enviro and the the perspective of being the people in Germany. Because initially I moved from India to Germany, worked in Germany almost around 4 years, and then I moved to Netherlands. So yeah, it's a great experience of learning new cultures and experience in the new ways of working. So it's definitely a great journey for me, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm pretty settled now in Netherlands. So I'm quite happy with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you presented earlier in the conference last week, or maybe even the week before. uh,
Yeah, 6th of July. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So this conference just doesn't seem to end. So maybe the week before, the week before that. Um, So you're talking about learning Kafka and event-driven architecture. So that
Yeah.
was the content of your talk. So educate me. What do I have to know about Kafka and event-driven
Yeah.
architecture?
Yeah, I think the event-driven architecture is very, very important nowadays. Whenever most of the companies are building API-driven architecture or the microservices, and when we talk about microservices or the API-driven architecture, these APIs are quite atomic as in the nature. And so when we have to talk between the APIs to each other, we need events. So because now in the world of microservices, you don't build a monolithic applications, and you really need to have the APIs should be fast enough. It should able to interact with different APIs via events, and the communication via the events is called as event-driven architecture. And Kafka is one of the implementation or is way of implementation event-driven architecture, and that's what I've talked about it. And in my talk, I have also mentioned where we have started from monolithic. I think 20 years back, we have started to build like mainframe application or the monolithic application. And I think a few years back, we have started with SOA, service-oriented architecture. And but nowadays we do see a challenge because we still cannot build a lot of services quite monolithic. So we really need to break down those services into the microservices. And if the communication need to happen, those microservices, we need events. And that's what my talk is all about. And I did mention about that how enterprise need EDA and the event hub and how we can implement that. Yeah, that's mainly I have in my session I have discussed.
Okay. Now I would imagine this talk was primarily for developers.
Yeah, mainly for the developers and the architects, because some of the person who made the decision for the architecture, so it's both for the architects and the developers.
Okay. Now you mentioned, from monolithic now to microservices and event-driven. So, why the evolution? In other words, why did the
Mhm.
technology change as it has changed over the years? What
Yeah.
are the benefits of doing it this way now versus years ago?
Okay. I think the evolution really started from the number of data, especially the big data, because now if you see a lot of companies are talking about API economy, and a lot of interaction is we do have social media, we do have interaction with customers, platforms, and so on. And when we talk about this API economy, you need to have a lot of data passing through from one customer or to the partners, and that's why Kafka or this event-driven architecture is quite important. And when we try to implement with SOA, I think one of the challenges, SOA is become too slow, and the time to market and the deliver is slow, and you cannot get what you really want to achieve in the API economy. And that's why we really need to have a asynchronous communication via events, because if you traditionally go with SOA is all about synchronous communication. You send a request and then you wait for it, and that is you call a synchronous communication. But events is something asynchronous. You fire and forget. You make a request and then you forget whether somebody is interested or not. You put a request, and that's why events is quite important nowadays. You don't wait for the client whether they receive this communication or not. They just we pass the communication, and it's up to the consumer whether they would interested to know or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said so in the title it says learn. So learn Kafka and event-driven architecture. The things that you're talking about are already being implemented today. How many developers have already embraced this, and how many still have to embrace it?
I think especially if you see in the open source area, a lot of developers or the enterprise have already adopted Kafka or this event-driven architecture. But when you compare the Oracle area, especially Oracle Cloud, we still a lot of companies haven't implemented. And when we talk about Oracle Fusion Middleware or Oracle Integration Cloud, I think there's still a lot of area to improve or imbibe this architecture. Now Oracle does provide in the Oracle Cloud as something called OCI streaming as part of the event-driven architecture. But yeah, there are a lot of for Oracle people or the community, Oracle community, there's still a lot of people who are not aware of Kafka and event-driven architecture.
Interesting. So when you talk to these people, do
Mhm.
they view it as an opportunity? I mean, I would imagine it would be.
Yeah, of course. I mean, when I presented my session in the conference, I see the response was very great. A lot of
Right.
interesting question I got. Yeah, so I definitely see when people are really excited and they definitely want to try it out. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Mhm.
That's cool. Um, okay, so let's. You're also an Oracle and ACE, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And how long have you been involved with that program?
I think I got awarded Oracle ACE Award in 2014. So I've been for more than 6 years. I've been an Oracle ACE. The journey started, I think, more than 10 years ago when I started with blogging for myself. So I have no intention to become an Oracle ACE or something. I started blogging for myself, but later I have I really like doing it to give the community. I love enjoying to spend my time in Oracle forums, answering the question of a lot of peoples, and then gradually I started participating in the community, giving sessions. And in 2016 I have also authored a book on Oracle Web Center portal. And yeah, and right now I'm doing a lot of event. I normally travel to a lot of conferences, Oracle Open World, doa, Spain, Norway. So I've been traveling to multiple places, giving my sessions, and yeah, that's the way I'm trying to contribute to the community, and that's why I have given this Oracle ACE Award. Yeah.
So you didn't seek it out. You got it as a result of the work you were already doing. It sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. So I never aimed for an Oracle. So I have started the Oracle blogging and worked with the community, and gradually I got that. Yeah, I would say like that. I never aimed for it.
Interesting. Now,
Yeah.
I saw a copy of your book on your Twitter feed.
Yeah.
Tell me what it takes to write a book. I mean, I've always thought about trying to write a book. Not that I'm expert in anything to write a book, but just the concept itself.
No, yeah, definitely writing a book, you definitely need to plan it out. I have seen a lot of my friends who have started writing a book, and then later on they found it's very difficult. You really need to spend a lot of time. For myself, I required 9 months overall. A lot of spending my time overnights and completing the book, and especially phrasing the way you want to communicate your message. So yeah, it's very difficult. Yeah.
So, are you? So this is just the first book yet? This is the first book that you've done?
Yeah, as of now, this is my only first book, but I'm also reviewing some of the other books from other authors.
Oh, so you're
And
also reviewing books?
yeah, I'm also
Okay.
reviewing. I have reviewed more than 10 books. Currently, I'm reviewing a
10.
book on micro. Yeah, I'm currently reviewing a book on microservices with the Spring. Yeah, so yeah, I love doing that because somewhat you also need to learn a lot by reading the books or review and adding or contributing in the books. Yeah, so I love doing that.
Interesting. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so by reviewing books and participating in the Oracle ACEs,
Mhm.
going to conferences, presenting, forums, blogging, all this stuff. I mean, this is all community activities to one degree or another.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about how you feel about the community in general.
I think this Oracle ACE community, or if I talk about Oracle ACE, it's a fun. I mean, it's a fantastic community. You get to meet a lot of interesting people, a lot of awesome people, and you also need to learn from them. And I think that's why I'm still interested to be in part of this community. And still, yeah, there's a lot of extra work we need to do apart from our normal day-to-day job. But I think the community is fantastic, where you need to learn, you can discuss your challenges with them, and you make a lot of good friends. I have a lot of good friends in the community, so yeah, I love doing that.
Interesting. Yeah, everybody I talk to says the same thing. I mean, I ask similar questions to everybody because, quite frankly, these are just things that I'm interested in, and so I'm interested to hear about everybody's experiences in the community. They're all slightly different, but they have some commonalities to them. And one of the things, like you've certainly reflected as well, is that the amount of learning that you could do by simply participating, reviewing books and things like each book you review, you got to learn that
Yeah.
subject and be sort of like you do like a critical analysis and everything. Does that ever get tiring? I mean, it's kind of a
Sometimes,
treadmill.
especially, sometimes you definitely feel, you are tired, especially when your workload in your job, day-to-day job, is too much, and you have a small kid, at least. Yeah, and then sometimes you really feel, it's too much. But then you have to make out the balance. But I think once you start doing it, you are in some sort of a habit, which I'm right now. So it's fine. Some days you think, yeah, it's too much, but then you get used to it. So that's not a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But especially, I definitely remember when I was writing a book, in mid of the writing of the book, I think 4 months when I already spent, I thought, why I have done it? Why have I started this? I mean, nobody asking me to do that. Yeah.
Nobody was asking you to write the book?
Yeah, I mean, and I myself said, oh, let's write a book on this topic. There's no book available in the market. But then you thought, oh, why I'm doing it? I mean, it's too much work for me. Yeah.
So you decided to write the book and then find a market for it.
No, I mean, because I co-authored a book with one of my other colleague with the community, and there's no book in the market on Oracle Web Center portal. So we met in open world. We discussed we should write a book. We prepare, kind of abstract. We shared with a publisher called Appress, and they really like it, and they said, yeah, please go on. So I mean, so in mid of what I'm trying to say, it's too much of work, and then you think, why I have started this? I mean, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I often start projects that way. Not books, but I've often started many projects like that.
Yeah.
So with all the conferences now being virtual and online, what's your impression of life behind Zoom these days? Because it's not like this happened yesterday. We've had many months now of this.
I mean, I think this is a new normal nowadays, and on one side, I found it, I'm seeing some positivity or some sort of opportunity so that I can talk in each conference now, because earlier you have to travel, you need to take some leaves from your work, but now I can give my conference from my from my home. So that's one of the good thing. The only missing part is really you cannot able to meet, you cannot do the networking, which is one of the great thing to go in the conference. But yeah, I think it's a, I don't know how the worlds will behave or look like in its coming 2 years, but I think it's a different. I mean, I somehow, at least I have submitted all the abstract in the all the conferences, especially in open world or so that's one of the thing. I'm being positive there. So
Yeah.
so at least I don't need to travel. I don't need to ask for the leave. Yeah.
Have you participated in Yatra and Sangam before in like previous years?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in Sangam for last 4 years. Every
Oh,
year,
okay.
I used to participate in Sangam. For last 2 years, I've been participating in DOAG in Germany. I've also participated in Spain Oracle user group in Norway, and last year I also presented in Open World. So,
Okay. So what's up for you next after Yatra is over?
I yesterday only I submitted the abstract for Spain Oracle user group. The conference is in October, so I submitted 2 abstract there. And hopefully I will be also presenting in Norway Oracle user group for Norway in September. So, and hoping that I would be also selected for open world if there would be any. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's in the fall, right?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, at least I've submitted my sessions there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
All right, Vinay. Well, it was great talking to you.
same here.
It was a pleasure meeting new people and hearing about the technology. Every time I do one of these things, I learn a little bit each time, and I have a lot to learn. So that's good. So
Yeah,
thank you for educating me, and thanks for the conversation. And hopefully, in a year or two or three, we'll actually meet physically, live,
sure.
instead
Yeah,
of virtually. And so, good luck in your upcoming conferences, and we'll talk to you soon.
thank you. I'm looking forward to meet you somewhere. Yeah,
Cool.
thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Bye
Bye.
bye.